liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get into our presentation with a great property appraiser, let me just say we had a terrific Memorial Day celebration.
Oh, yeah.
And our staff, just unbelievable. And I tell you what, when you sit up there and you speak to the crowd, the way we do that is phenomenal. So thank you, staff.
Mayor, we've had so many great ones, but I have to say, this was really a topper. It was really good, and our speaker, Colonel Mattis, great job.
Yeah.
Really, very personable, very personal. Good job.
Mayor? Okay, hold on a second. Vice Mayor, just something real quick. We had our speaker.
Yes, a couple things. I want to wish my wife, Stacy, a tremendous happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Stacy.
On Friday, we get to celebrate the graduation of my youngest boy, Justin.
Congratulations.
He'll be attending FIU. He's going to be majoring in political science with a minor in American history.
Oh, wow.
The goal is to eventually go into government law, and I couldn't be more proud. I want to take this opportunity, Mayor, to thank you, the Commission, City Manager Dodge, the legal team, and everyone behind the scenes with the Pembroke Pines Charter School System. Two boys have gone through it. I cannot, I'm eternally grateful for the education that they received, the care and support that they received from their teachers, from the non-instructional staff. Friday is going to be turning the page, but certainly it's going to be a new chapter in life. So I just want to recognize everyone there. Earlier today, Mayor, on a sad note, I attended the memorial service, celebration of life, for Rick Coelho, who was our restaurateur and manager of Club 19. He stoically battled pancreatic cancer. He leaves behind a loving wife, kids, grandchildren. His father's still living. He's going to be sorely missed. I was there, Mayor, on behalf of the Commission. And then finally, Mayor, at the appropriate time, what happened in Texas, actually we just had breaking news, another massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma, just a few minutes ago. There is just something wrong with the direction of our civility towards one another. Mayor, I'm sure you'll have a moment of silence for Buffalo and Texas, and now we have Oklahoma at the appropriate time, Mayor.
Mr. Castillo.
Yeah, that was very much what I was going to bring up. It's absolutely heartbreaking what's happened in Texas and elsewhere, and we just have to find the strength to get past it and to get past the ideological canyon that stands between us and being able to make a difference. I know that as Americans we can come together, and we should, to make a difference in this terrible thing. We cannot be free if children fear going to school because they might be shot. That's just not the way America is supposed to be, and there's simply nothing in the Constitution that encourages or protects that. So I agree with my colleague that we should have a moment of silence, and hopefully that reflection will bring us closer to a better place and a better solution and a safer country.
Thank you. Mr. Seipel?
Yes, Mayor. First off, this coming Friday, the 10th, I just want to wish my husband, Mark, 53-year wedding anniversary.
Wow.
So,
Congratulations. How'd you do it, Mark?
Go ahead.
No, I didn't know that. No.
Wait a minute. Yeah, 53 years ago. Wow. Seems like just yesterday, actually. Great times. Happy anniversary, Mark. But Mayor, talking about these tragedies that are, that have happened, I know we all say, you know, we're sorry and we don't understand and how can it continue and how can it be? We have to get beyond that. We have to say, hell no, no more. Laws have to change. There should be no way that an 18-year-old should be able to have the kind of weapon that this young man had and was so easily gotten by him. And unless we as moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and friends and neighbors and family members stand up and start saying, hell no, we're not going to put up with it anymore. We're not going to lose any more lives randomly as they happen, because there's no rhyme or reason why any of it happens. There are a number of groups out there, and while I don't agree with everything that these groups say, I do agree with what their main push is, which is, hell no, we can't have this anymore. And those that we have elected at all different levels of government need to hear our voices loud and strong and need to say, you have the power, you have the authority to make these changes, and you better start doing it now, because we cannot, as a country, as a community, as anything, continue to have, we're sitting at a meeting and we're talking about two tragedies, and my colleague says, wait a minute, I just got a flash, there's a third horrible tragedy. How does that happen? And how do we not jump up and yell and scream at every opportunity to say to those who have authority to make changes, you better start listening to us. If you recall, remember Stoneman Douglas, when that horrible happened 4 years ago? Everybody at first thought, oh, you know, it's terrible and you know, remind me of Sandy Hook and whatever. But if you recall how vigilant, how loud, not only the parents, but how loud the students, the kids themselves, marching on Washington, going in front of committees and talking, and they continue to still do that. They have made some changes, but clearly not enough changes, not enough done. We are not keeping our kids safe, not keeping our families. It's not just the kids. How many teachers were killed? How many at Stoneman Douglas, you know, athletic director? How many more does this have to happen? We live in the greatest country in the world. We live in the greatest country in the world, and we're having trouble protecting our own. There's something really, really wrong with that. And so I would ask all of you that are here, all of you that are hearing any of this, please let your voice be loud, let it be heard over and over and over again. And I would hope that this city would come to some point, Mayor, and maybe that would be your place, if that's where you were, so that we would start trying to put together something, a force, a group, that our voices start getting heard, because I think everyone agrees that enough is enough, and we should not have this anymore. My colleague said kids should not be afraid to go to school. No, they should be, the only thing they should be afraid of is if they studied hard enough for the test they're gonna have. That's all they should be worried about, and who they're gonna sit by at lunch that day. That's all that these kids should be worried about. How's prom gonna be? How's my graduation gonna be? They shouldn't be worried about their safety. They shouldn't be worried. No parent should say, see you after school today, fully expecting that that's gonna happen, and that child doesn't come home.
Okay.
So Mayor, I would ask that you would consider, and that my colleagues would consider, that we would all somehow join in this effort of Pembroke Pines. We always try to get out front on things, but we need to really be out front. We really need to be loud. We need to be heard, and we need to take some action. So, Mayor,
Thank you.
I would ask you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
About 6 o'clock, I got a call from some elected officials that want to make that happen.
Okay,
So I went to the attorney and I went to Mr. Dodge. I'm working on it.
good,
So we'll have that.
good. Glad to hear that, Mayor.
And let me all ask you to bow your heads for a moment of silence. Thank you all. God bless everyone. We have a great presenter tonight. He's our Broward County property appraiser, Marty Kier. He's going to be presenting updates on Broward County property values, and he's going to tell you how huge they are in Pembroke Pines. And first of all, you have to push that button right that says to speak there, right to your, there you go. And I'm so sorry for your cat.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. Actually, my dog Cooper, he was with me for 17 years, and he did pass on the other day, which was
Oh, dog, I thought it was a cat, sorry.
no, that's okay. Which was very tough, but I feel very blessed that we had him for so long, and so thank you so much. It was so nice of you to say, and thank you so much for your great service and the great service of the city commission. I have to tell you, I love coming to speak with y'all for a lot of reasons, but I know a lot of y'all know this. This is the first place I've ever lived my entire life. I was born at Plantation General Hospital, and my parents bought a home here in 1975, and we were here till 1984. And I went to Pasadena Lakes Elementary. It's just a great place. So every time I get to come to Pembroke Pines, I feel like I kind of came home. And so just want to thank y'all so very, very much. And what I was hoping to do was just briefly talk, just for the residents, about what we can do in our office to help the public. I was hoping to just quickly go through property values with y'all here in Pembroke Pines, and just like everywhere else in the county, it's pretty incredible what's going on. I was hoping to also quickly talk about our Owner Alert program, which is really designed to protect people from fraud, and then answer any questions that y'all have. But for the residents, first, thank you all so much for allowing me to be your Broward County property appraiser. I have to tell you, out of all the jobs I've ever had, this one I love the most because you get to interact with everybody in the county, and the nature of the job lets you help people. And there are really a few main functions to our office. The first function is we determine the value of every piece of property in Broward County for tax purposes, whether it's residential, commercial, tangible personal property, or centrally assessed property, which are railroads. And the reason that's important is because when people pay their property taxes, the amount of taxes they pay is a relationship between the value of the property that we set and the tax rate set by Pembroke Pines, the city commission, the county commission, the school board, and all other taxing authorities. So the most important thing we want to do is just make sure we get it right. And everybody here knows Broward County is a huge place. More people live here than 13 states, the District of Columbia, and all U.S. territories except Puerto Rico. It is massive. And we appraise more parcels than are actually in many states. So I always tell everybody, please go on our website at bcpa.net or web.bcpa.net, open up your property and check it out. And if you have any concerns with the value of your property, you can contact me by September 19th of this year so we can make any adjustments that we can under the law. And just a quick example, the way that we determine the value of existingly owned property is through all the properties that sold the year before that are similar to somebody's property. And so what will happen is right about now, somebody will go on our website, they'll look at their property, and they'll call me and let's say, Marty, I understand why you valued my property this way, because that's what these other properties showed its value should be. But my property is different. It's dilapidated. There's water damage. There's something about it that makes it less valuable than these other properties. And I'll say, okay, well, show me what information you all have. And I'll go through it with them, and it's information that we can use to adjust the value of their property, which could bring down their property taxes. We always will, so please, everybody, go on our website at bcpa.net, check it out. If you have any concerns, give me a call. Also, in August, you're going to get a very important document from our office in the mail. It's the TRIM notice, the Truth in Millage Notice. It's not a tax bill. It's basically a document so people can make sure they don't overly pay in their property taxes, and it says all kinds of stuff that's very important as well. It shows the value of their property for tax purposes, all the tax-saving exemptions they're currently getting. It shows the proposed millage rates all their local governments are thinking about setting, and it shows the dates and times that the local governments are going to be discussing those tax rates and their budgets. If anybody has any concern with the value of their property when they open that up, or they're not getting every tax-saving exemption they're entitled to, again, please call me till September 19th of this year. Contact me. We'll come to you. You can come to us. We'll go through it together to make sure your value is right and you're getting every exemption you're entitled to so that's being reflected in your tax bill. The second thing that we do in our job, and this is what I love most about it, is we do give tax-saving exemptions to people that qualify. The most important one is the homestead exemption. If somebody lives here in Pembroke Pines and is their primary residence, they get a homestead exemption. What that does, it takes $50,000 of value off the tax roll they no longer pay taxes on, can save them $800, $900, maybe $1,000 a year at the beginning. But most importantly, it's very important because it protects them going forward. And it basically says that every year thereafter, the value they're taxed on cannot go up more than a maximum of 3%. That is so very important, especially right now, because property values in Pembroke Pines and all throughout Broward County are skyrocketing in market value, So if you have that homestead exemption cap, that 3%, it ensures that the value of your tax is capped, so your value won't skyrocket with your market value, which could make your property taxes skyrocket. It keeps your property taxes manageable, so you only pay on your fair share of value. So please sign up for Homestead. If you haven't done that, you can do it till September 19th. There are so many other exemptions that people are entitled to. There are exemptions for seniors, for veterans, for people with disabilities. Go on our website. If there's something you're not getting, again, you can contact me by September 19th. I know I keep saying that a lot, but that is our drop-dead date to be able to help people this year to apply every exemption they're entitled to. The third thing that we do in our office, and this is just important, you know, when people are entitled to an exemption, they should get it. They've earned it under the Constitution. Conversely, if they're doing something improper, if they're getting an exemption fraudulently and they're knowingly getting that exemption, then they're paying a little less money in their taxes, but they're doing that at the expense of everybody else who's playing by the rules. And so we actually have a very aggressive fraud division that also goes throughout the county, and it cracks down on people who are frauding the system. And if we find out that somebody is knowingly frauding the system, then what we do is we take away the exemption, we'll back tax them possibly up to 10 years, include a 50% penalty and 15% interest. The penalties are big, but they're big because the legislature wants to deter people from cheating the system. So I always tell everybody, please do not break the rules. Don't fraud the system. Just get what you're entitled to, and so you only pay your fair share. It's fair for everybody. The next thing I wanted to quickly talk about was kind of where Pembroke Pines is right now. And Pembroke Pines, like the rest of the county, is doing very, very well when it comes to their values. So to give you an idea, the market value in 2021 in Pembroke Pines, basically if you took all the residential and commercial values and sold it on the open market, you would get right about $22.31 billion. Fast forward to 2022, it's increased to about $25.2 billion, which is a 13% increase in market value in 1 year, and our values are based on January 1st, 2022, so actually they're even higher now. The taxable value is the value we provided you all the other day that you all are going to be utilizing when you put set your millage rate for this year to determine the amount of revenue that you need to provide great services to the people of Pembroke Pines. In 2021, your taxable value was right about $14.7 billion. Fast forward to January 1st of 2022, there's an 8.82% increase in taxable value to about $15.998 billion. And to give you an idea, if you keep your millage rate the same, which is right about 5.6690, your additional revenue this year from last year will be right about $7,349,000 more dollars this year than last year. That's a pretty significant increase in revenue. You've had about $66 million of new construction added to the tax roll. To give you an idea, so much of the new construction was in the Pine City Center, which I think is pretty incredible. Driving around here, I think it is amazing what you all have done. I'm actually very proud of everything that you all have done here. And actually the biggest value that was added to the tax roll is a BMW dealership, which was right about $25.7 million of value added to the tax roll. There are 40,690 homestead exemptions in the city of Pembroke Pines. You have 3,631 low-income seniors here in Pembroke Pines. You also have 445 long-term seniors that get a full exemption from the city and the county. And I just want to thank you all so much for this, because it's your foresight, what you all did, that gave that to them, because not every city in Broward County actually has a long-term senior exemption that can really help seniors really save money that really need it. To give you an idea, if somebody is 65 years of age or older, they made under last year $32,561. They've been in their home for 25 years or more, and the value of their home is under $250,000. They're fully exempt from paying the city portion of the tax bill and the county portion of the tax bill. And I love the fact that you all adopted this, because as you can see, only 445 seniors in Pembroke Pines qualify for this. So the hit to your budget is minimal, but the fact that it saves these seniors so much money that they can put in their pocket who are struggling to make ends meet, I think is a great thing. So I hope every city follows Pembroke Pines' lead in that. You also have 3,935 widows who are entitled to an exemption. You also have 351 American Hero totally permanently disabled veterans who pay no property taxes to the city of Pembroke Pines. You have 6 members of the military who are deployed that get a discount. And you actually have 8 totally permanently disabled first responders who have made Pembroke Pines their home. I have to double check that, but I think you have the most first responders that are totally permanently disabled that qualify more than any other city in Broward County. There are 38,569 single-family homes in Pembroke Pines. The average market value for a single-family home is about $412,700, and the average taxable value is about $238,732. You have 17,234 condominium values. The average market value is about $155,000, and the average taxable value is about $93,000. And what I think is absolutely amazing is the reason Pembroke Pines sees such a huge value increase. One, you've had $66 million of new construction, but really what's driving this is a lot of people are moving here from so many other states, mostly states where there's an income tax, whether it's New York, California, Illinois, and they're coming to Broward County and they're moving to Pembroke Pines and they're making it their home and they are paying significant amounts of money for these properties. And that's really what's driving up the values here in Pembroke Pines. The last thing I wanted to quickly talk about, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, just a program that is kind of near and dear to my heart. You know, it's been a crusade of mine to really crack down on title fraud. And here's why. Unfortunately, South Florida is the title fraud capital of the world. You have criminals, and what they do is they go into the recording divisions for each county in the state of Florida and in Broward County, and they file fake deeds on people's properties. And then they take those deeds and try to extort people for money or mortgage rent or sell their property. It happens all the time. And so we wanted to give the people of Broward County the opportunity to fight the fraud before the fraud occurs. So what we did was we developed a program in-house. It's free to the public called Owner Alert. So if any resident of Pembroke Pines goes to web.bcpa.net/owner-alert or just to bcpa.net and clicks on Owner Alert, you can sign up for free. And here's what you do. You put in your name and you put in your email. And you put in your parcel ID number, which you can easily grab from our website. And if we have your email on file, you're automatically verified. If we don't, we ask that you upload your Florida driver's license or your Florida ID. If you don't have that, there are other ways to get verified as well. And then if any document, whether it's legitimate or not, is filed changing ownership of your property, you're going to be notified instantaneously so you can fight the fraud before the fraud occurs. There are also a number of people in Broward County that may not have access to email or to computer. They can also sign up by calling our office, and they can get a letter in the mail if that happens. We've had about 170 to 180,000 Broward County property owners sign up so far, and it's my goal to get every Broward County property owner to sign up because it's really there to protect their most important asset, which is their home. And the other thing that we've been doing recently, and I'm really happy to talk about this because I want the public to know that this is a very serious thing and that if somebody does something bad, we're going to work very hard to put them in jail. What we've been doing with our fraud division is two things. One, they crack down on homestead fraud and other fraud, but they've also been working very closely with law enforcement to build cases against criminals who do this and try to put them away. And so we've actually been able to successfully help the U.S. Attorney's Office prosecute and convict two people who did this on a very large scale in Broward County. We also work with the Southern District of New York's Federal District Court, and we're able to get a conviction for people that actually did this on properties in Broward County. And the other day, we actually worked with the Broward Sheriff's Office, and two people were arrested that did this on a large scale there. There is another arrest today, and we're going to continue to work on this because I want these people to know that they're not welcome here in Broward County. And if you try to defraud somebody of their property, we're going to work very hard with law enforcement to put you in jail for a long time. With that said, I just want to thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, and this commission for allowing me to come. I think you all are absolutely awesome. You work very, very hard, and I have to give a very big shout out to your staff as well. You know, our office works very closely with all 31 cities and their staff. The staffs constantly send us permits so we can put value on the tax roll. And I have to tell you, under your leadership, Mr. Dodge, your staff really works so well with our office. They're so easy to deal with, and I just appreciate that. And I also have to say you have literally the best legal mind on the face of the earth in Sam Gorin.
That's true.
But with that said, thank you so much for allowing me to come. Is there any questions that y'all have that I can answer?
I just wanted to add that at our senior center,
Yes.
we have computers set up for our residents to do exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about.
Thank you.
So we appreciate that.
Oh.
And we want to get this out, Mr. Dodge,
Yes.
as quickly as we can. And
That's
thank you
great.
for that information.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Schwartz, quickly?
Thank you. Property appraiser care.
Marty, always Marty.
Yeah, so Marty and I, we did fire ops for the,
Yes.
we were in the hot box together, 1,500 degrees. We made it out alive. I was half baked, but Marty did well. I have an item on tonight's meeting. You were part of the state legislature, and Home Rule Authority for the cities with respect to, rental property. We have no authority.
Yes.
So while I hear that Pembroke Pines is doing well, I'm also hearing that people are coming in from other states who think they're getting a good deal, but really they're not. They're coming out of pocket $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in cash to buy property because there's like these bid wars going on. But they think they're doing well because they're used to the property value from the places that they're coming from. So in turn, they overpay because the bank isn't going to finance it because the banks know that the property isn't worth that much. Then local government or governments in general benefit from that new value. As a result of that, some local governments get excited about their values. I'm looking at it as the renters can no longer afford to live in those cities. As a Broward County Commissioner, you had championed the living wage, and we're not there yet. And because of that, we now have a rental crisis. This is something that hopefully through your leadership as a constitutional officer can make some, as a collective group of the other 66 property appraisers, get with Tallahassee to get this fixed. We are powerless at the local level. There are, in the city of Pembroke Pines, there's 8,000 rental units. We have 60,000 units of actual places to live. Affordable housing, it's not affordable if you're a military veteran who doesn't get an increase in pay. The government's going to pay you, that's what you get for the week. But
You point to the property appraiser?
no, this is a collective sum of all parts, because I know there's one thing about Marty. Marty gets things done.
Right.
Okay, and he sees a lot of people, and people want to help Marty. So my plea to you is let's see what we can do to get some relief, some common sense rents in our community, because we're at a breaking point. Most people, if they had to buy the house that they currently live in, they couldn't afford to do it, and that's a problem.
You know, you're 100% right. You know, and I'll tell you about the legislature. When I was in the legislature, I couldn't wait for session to start. When I got elected to local government, I couldn't wait for it to end. You know, it's what they do, the way that they take away home rule is just a disgrace. You know, but you hit on something that's very, very important. You know, if you are an existing homesteaded property owner, you are a very lucky individual. The values of your properties are skyrocketing, but the value that you're taxed on is capped at 3%. So it's really good for you. But the people that are really suffering, it's first-time home buyers, young families who want to live here, teachers, firefighters, police officers, members of the military, like you mentioned, people that you want to keep here as well. There is no affordable housing for them. And I think I read in the newspaper a few weeks ago that our rents have actually surpassed of New York City. And that is something I never thought I'd ever see in my entire life. And so it is very important that there's definitely some relief. And I would love to work with yourself, Jay, and this commission, you know, to advocate in Tallahassee to see if there are things that can be done. The one thing in the meantime this is me speaking out, God bless you, just as Marty Care, something that I'm very supportive of, and it's a little bit of some help to some of those people, is on the November ballot, there's going to be, I think, a very good amendment. It was put on where all Democrats and all Republicans voted for it in the legislature, and what it does, it provides an additional $50,000 homestead exemption to existing teachers, firefighters, police officers, active members of the military, active social workers, and I believe a few other classes. I think that would be, you know, it's a small start, but it's a start in the right direction, and so I'm hopeful that the folks of the state of Florida will amend the Constitution and put that there. But when it comes to renters and others, I would love to work with you more on it. Thank you for bringing that up.
You have to tell the legislature we can't advocate anymore according to them, or educate, so we'll have to.
Yes. Oh,
Commissioner Castillo.
Yes, thank you very much. Marty, thank you so very much for your service.
thank you, Angela.
You're a treasure to have
Oh,
as our property appraiser in any role that you've ever played, and
Thank you.
you're a great guy. And
Thank you,
I
Angela.
appreciate it.
And Angela, I have to tell you, I also live a little vicariously through you because my daughters are 12 and 9, and I see what your daughters have done. And so I've got to see them grow up. And so for me, I see kind of all the good things I have in store for me, all your proud moments. I think just recently, one of your daughters, did she graduate, was it medical school?
She's a doctor in nursing.
Doctorate in nursing. I thought that was just awesome. And so I just want to say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but my goal in life is one day to be able to post pictures like that, to show that I'm as proud as my daughters that you are of yours. And
Well, and you'll be able to do that simply because you said that.
thank you.
Because raising positive children is actually about doing it.
Yes.
And I know that you will, and I'm proud that we have. The statistics that you read off, could you do me a favor and email them to all of us?
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'd like to take my time and read them all. So if you just ask staff, just all the statistics that you laid out, if you could just email them to all of us.
Sure. Would you like me to send it directly to the clerk to distribute, or say you want it to everybody?
However, it's best to get it to us.
That's a good avenue.
Oh, yeah, I'll get that. Is it okay tomorrow morning if I send it over at that time?
That's-
Excellent. I'll get it
Thank you.
right on
More than
over
enough.
then.
Thank you so very much for your
Thank-
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank
A
you.
great, a great property appraiser, Marty here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Well, have a wonderful day, everybody.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Now we have a proclamation for Cultural Awards Day and a celebration of Caribbean American Heritage Month. Get up there.
Ms. Burns, if you can come down, please.
Ms. Burns? How are you? This is Unique Calm and Cultural Awards Day in celebration of Caribbean American Heritage Month. And whereas the annual Unique Calm and Cultural Awards in celebration of National Caribbean American Heritage Month brings together the Caribbean American community. And whereas Unique Calm and Cultural Awards Banquet and Gala provides an opportunity to create more awareness for Caribbean American Heritage Month. Additionally, Unique Calm and Cultural Awards showcase the cultural diversity, ethnicity, and heritage of the Caribbean people. And whereas over the years, this event has been recognizing individuals of Caribbean roots who are nominated for their significant contribution to the betterment of their community and the U.S. at large. This event has also expanded to recognize non-Caribbean community leaders who have supported and impacted the Caribbean American community with the Friend of the Caribbean Award. And whereas this event has further expanded to include another category, the Lifetime Achievement Award, which will be awarded to an individual or company who has gone above and beyond to support their country as well as their community. This action will allow outreach to others who have done exceptionally well in support of their respective communities. And whereas the inclusion of an island theme featuring island music, entertainers, singers, cultural performers, and other entertainers to showcase their talents, which may lead to booking opportunities. And whereas Elizabeth Liz Burns, Unique Creation by Liz Inc., is the producer of Expressions Caribbean American magazine for numerous years, which features many businesses throughout the Tri-County area, which gives us a bird's-eye view of the Caribbean islands, their tantalizing beauty and culture and delicious foods. Now, I ask Frank Siotis, Mayor of the City of Pembroke Pines, to hereby proclaim Saturday, June 25th, as Unique Calm and Cultural Awards Day, City of Pembroke Pines, in celebration of National Caribbean American Heritage Month, and recognizes Elizabeth Burns' Unique Creations by Liz for her many years of outstanding contributions to the observance of Caribbean American Heritage Month. Congratulations. Want to say a few words? Oh. All right.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Managers, City Attorney, and City Clerk. Thank you all so much. Just a little highlight on Caribbean American Heritage Month in case you have not heard about it. 2006, President George W. Bush signed into office that June will be Caribbean American Heritage Month. Well, subsequently, every year, a proclamation is done and posted on their site. A lot of people didn't know about that. We have been hosting events for many years. However, we felt that we should acknowledge and recognize certain things in the community that has been given to us. And so in 2010, we started events in recognition of Caribbean American Heritage Month. And to this day, we're still doing that. We started with the Expo Exhibition and Festival, which in 2017 was held right here at the Pine City Center at that time. That was the name. And so we have not been back here, not because we don't want to, but because of different items. I won't go into that. But we do like the facility. It's beautiful. However, COVID happened, and we had to forego some of that. In 2015, we started the awards program. It has been wonderful. People are gravitating to it. They love the idea of being recognized for their good deeds. And some of these folks are not known by anyone in our community, meaning different communities. But they do a good job, and they need to be recognized. However, in 2021, our dear mayor received the Friend of the Caribbean Award. And we thanked him for his outstanding service to the community and for building a more progressive city. Because, believe it or not, we have the best city, I think, in Florida.
Yeah.
I think so. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. So bottom line is that we're continuing with the events, and we hope that if anyone out there hears or never heard of it, please join us. The next event is June 25th, and you're all welcome to join us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Burns. Good luck. Thank you. Jonathan, you ready? Let's do it right here.
Let me move, the table really quick.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. We're here to present the raffle winner for the spring Florida prepaid scholarship that we do through the Pembroke Pines Charter School Foundation. The last winner that we had was a kindergarten from our FSU campus. So Dr. Spirillo is here to kindly choose the winner. We'll give to you, and then you name the winner.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Mix them up real good.
We'll do.
How we doing, Doctor? Good. Dun, 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 dun.
So if you can list the name of the beneficiary.
Okay. Purchaser name, no.
No.
Beneficiary. Is that right?
That's right.
Eighth grade.
Eighth grader.
Eighth grade. And the beneficiary recipient, City of Miramar,
Okay.
and beneficiary recipient, Glades Middle School.
Okay, good.
And the winner is, that's the purchaser's name. What else do you want me to?
This is right here. Ethan Kett.
Oh, okay. And the beneficiary recipient, and I'm sorry I missed it, was Ethan Casas. All right, congratulations. Thank you for the wonderful job you both do. Thank you.
Really cool.
Wonderful.
Another roast to come.
So, Mr. Mayor, as you're sitting, I know that we have, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, we have our next presentation on items of, to be pulled from the agenda, City Clerk.
No items, Mayor.
All right. Commissioner audit report?
None, Mayor.
Appeals of the Board of Adjustment decisions. We have a request from Jimmy Newman Clayton Signs.
Mr. Mayor, before we do that item, I would like to ask if you would take into consideration to pull item number 22, and hear that item before we hear the variance. It's actually just an appointment to the board, and, as a courtesy, I think it would be nice if we can go ahead and pull item 22 and dispense with that quickly.
Okay, on the regular agenda, discussion of possible action to appoint Adriana Kit Jordan as a regular member on the Art and Cultural Advisory Board.
Second, first.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Okay. No
She's here.
objection? Congratulations.
No objection. She's here in the audience, Mr. Mayor, if you would like to recognize her,
okay.
please.
All right, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, we're good. We got a consensus.
Consensus, if mayor and commission, if you will, the consensus is in a sense, a commitment to the appointee, then that's what the record will reflect.
Great. Wait, Commissioner, good, thank you.
No, I'd just
You
like
wanna
to say
say-
congratulations to Ms. Kit, because she's been, very active with that board for quite some time now, even though she's not a member, and it's nice to finally see her become a voting member of that board. So thank you for your volunteer. It's up, Mr. Mayor, if you would like to invite her to say anything,
Sure.
it's up to you.
Come on up, say a couple of words. At least hello. Mr. Gorin, you had something?
Me?
I see your name, no, okay.
This thing on?
Yeah, it's all, that's all you have to say.
Just pull it
Name
up.
and address for the record, please.
I want to thank you. I really appreciate it. This Dutch girl tries hard.
How long have you lived in the city, Kit?
In the city,
Yes.
Pembroke Pines, October 18th, 88.
Wow,
1988.
great.
We closed our house on my husband's birthday.
Very
That's
good.
wonderful.
Well, congratulations.
And
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Look
Thank you
forward
for
to
all
seeing
you've
your
done.
work.
Thank you so much.
All
She's
right.
very humble, by the way. She's done many things in years past, and so it's really good to see her back, so.
All right, we have a request from Jimmy Newton Clayton Signs as agent for Verizon to appeal a planning and zoning board denial of commercial zoning variance number ZV 2022-04 for the property located at 1604 Pines Boulevard, P-101.
Mr. Mayor, if you'll permit me to give a brief predicate for the record for the
Go
mayor and
ahead.
commission? May I proceed, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Mayor and Commission, as you know, you've handled these items in the recent past. This is an appeal under Section 155.311, subsection C of the City's Code of Ordinances. Decisions of the Board of Adjustment or the Planning and Zoning Board in quasi-judicial proceedings are subject to appeal to the City Commission by either the city, the petitioner, or an affected person as defined in this code based on a lack of competent and substantial evidence to support the board's ruling. This evening, the applicant is in fact the petitioner. Any person seeking to appeal must file a written request to appeal with the Director of Planning and Economic Development or designee no later than noon on the 7th calendar day following the meeting at which the Planning and Zoning Board has rendered a final decision. For the record, that has occurred. Number 3, the applicant, who will be before you shortly, filing the appeal shall submit a written statement to the Director of Planning and Economic Development no later than 8 days before the City Commission meeting at which the appeal shall be heard. This written statement shall state with specificity why the appellant believes that the Planning and Zoning Board's decision was not based on competent and substantial evidence. This written statement shall be included in the agenda for the City Commission meeting, at which time the appeal shall be heard. Number 4, the person filing the appeal shall bear the cost of all advertising and notice requirements associated with the appeal. Number 5, the appeal shall be presented to the City Commission as soon as practicable, subject to the notice requirements and procedures set forth herein for a final determination as to whether or not there was competent and substantial evidence to support the board's ruling. The appeal to the City Commission decisions. The final determination of the City Commission with regards to the application specified in the Land Development Code is subject to judicial review in a court of competent jurisdiction. And let's be clear, this is the last item in the code section, hearings. Hearings before the Planning and Zoning Board and the City Commission, both bodies, are not trials de novo, but rather appellate in nature. Appeals shall be limited to the written record, and no additional evidence shall not be presented. So the order of business, Mayor and Commission, as you have had in recent vintage, as described earlier during one of the presenters' discussions at the podium, this is an appeal by the applicant who is essentially appearing before you in an appellate capacity. This is not a trial de novo. What does that mean to non-lawyers? What that means is it's not a trial before a judge or before a jury. You are an appellate body sitting in that capacity under your own code of ordinances, and the applicant or the appellant before you will have to make a presentation on that basis. To that extent, also, staff will be able to make a presentation, again, based solely upon the evidence presented at the Planning and Zoning Board level. No new additional evidence. And the key factor in the context of the Commission's ultimate decision is based upon the fact that there has been a departure from or not based upon competent and substantial evidence. To keep clear the record, Mayor and Commission, the clerk will swear in both the appellant and the city staff. There'll be no other additional witnesses so that they can be heard and be under oath. If you'll please raise your right hand, the clerk will administer a thoughtful but kind oath. This is only the appellant and only the staff.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Answers all, and if you will, when you speak at the podium, identify yourself for the record. If you're going to have a co-appellant speaker, you'll have to identify him as well. If he's going to speak, you'll need to say the same thing. Mr. Stam, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mike Stam, Director of Planning and Economic Development. The applicant has some evidence that was presented to the B&Z Board. It did not make it to the backup. He's got hard copies that he's going to be able to provide to the Commission.
So long as you, under oath this evening, can confirm to the Mayor and Commission and the City Clerk that that information which is being offered was in fact and in law delivered to the Planning and Zoning Board.
It was.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Jimmy Newman, Clayton Signs, Lake City, Georgia. Here on behalf of Verizon, I'm going to pass out the hard copies that staff just informed you of.
And for the record, Mayor and Commission, this is not new evidence, but simply a supplement to the existing public record, and for that purpose can be considered by the Mayor and Commission in your deliberations, in your review, and any questions you may have for the applicant or for the professional staff of the city, which would be through Mr. Stam.
On April 14th, we came before the P&Z Board to file for a variance to add an additional wall sign to the Verizon location located at 16040 Pines Boulevard, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33028. We also filed for a variance to go over the aggregate 120 square feet to 161.7 square feet. During our arguments, there was some misunderstanding apparently amongst the P&Z staff or P&Z board to what they were voting for. We were making argument for the additional wall sign on the west elevation to capture, in this document from the Florida DOT, 35,500 cars per day heading east on Pines Boulevard. Verizon has spent a substantial amount of money to go into this space. They want to serve the community of Pembroke Pines, so they want to capture as many eyeballs as possible to drive business, particularly as we begin to open back up from the pandemic to their store. They currently have two signs at 53.9 square feet, which both are under the allowed code for each sign. Not to incur any additional expense, they wanted to add a third wall sign which meets their national brand designs standards to add an additional sign of 53.9 square feet. As we made our presentation, the P&Z board brought up a vote. They voted, they approved what we thought was the additional third wall sign. When we began to make argument for the additional square footage, staff brought to their attention that they had voted for the additional square footage and not for the additional wall sign, essentially allowing Verizon to have two 80 square foot signs. It was not the intent of Verizon to have two 80 square foot wall signs. It was their intent to have three 53.9 square foot wall signs. So we felt there, in that confusion, that they basically shut themselves down and did not want to take it any further, denied the request for the third wall sign, basically opened the door for two very large signs that was not our intent. We don't feel like it helps Verizon. Don't feel like it helps the city of Pembroke Pines. So we appeal to the commission to make argument.
Mr. Sam, anything? Or?
Hi, my name's Jim Baxter. I work for Verizon. I just wanted to bring to the attention one of the points that I brought up during the planning and zoning meeting was the ordinance states that we can have a primary sign facing the road and then a secondary sign along the side road if you're on a corner. Our building, the orientation is that we face into the shopping center, so we don't have the opportunity to have a sign on the side with two signs. We just have one facing in the shopping center and one facing Pines Boulevard, but not Dykes Road. And we're kind of missing out on the benefit with that without being able to have two signs facing the road frontage because our door faces in. So I just wanted to make that point, make sure that everybody.
Mr. Sam, anything further?
Mike Stam, Director of Planning and Economic Development. So the Planning and Zoning Board did make two votes. They voted 4-1 to support the extra square footage. It was an order of operations. Before we can give them the third sign, we've got to give them the extra square footage. When they did make those votes, as the applicant stated, there was a little bit of confusion, and the secondary vote was 3-2. What the last speaker spoke about was, if you're all familiar, this is the redevelopment of the old post office on the corner of Dykes and Pines. The city facilitated redevelopment. The Verizon tenant, can you open that up for me, Marlene? The site plan location aerial. So if you can see the D in road, the Verizon tenant is on that corner. What the applicant was speaking to is that the parking lot is where one of their primary signs is facing, so it's facing technically southbound. And then they have another sign that faces Pines Boulevard. Corner tenants are allowed two signs. They were accurate in that notion. And because of the linear feet of the space, they are allowed up to 120 square feet of signage. Today, they are under the allowable square footage. What the applicant wanted to do is to put 3 equal-sized signs up on the building, one on the north facade, one on the south facade, and the additional sign on the west facade. The P&Z board made the vote. The first one was 4-1. The second was 3-2. And Mayor Commissioners, Vice Mayor Commissioners, I'll be happy to answer any questions based on what the evidence that was presented.
Mayor, questions, Commissioner Castillo?
Thank you very much. So this is in District 4, and I appreciate you coming forward with the discussion. If there was confusion, and we've now heard both our planning director and the appellant say that there was confusion at the P&Z, I believe that the appropriate thing to do is to remand this back to the P&Z without costs. So you wouldn't have to pay to go before the P&Z again, but there wasn't competent evidence if there was confusion. So I am in favor of sending this matter back. I know that my colleagues are going to have other questions potentially to ask, so I'm not going to make the motion now, but at the appropriate moment, Mayor, it's going to be my motion to remand this back to the P&Z without cost to the appellant so that they can have this conversation properly at the right location. And then after that, if they want to appeal, they can appeal. But let's give them an opportunity to make their case, which they weren't. If there was confusion there, they didn't get to make their case. Thanks.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stam. I had the opportunity to review the backup, and it is my understanding, City Attorney, that we can make a final ruling tonight. We don't have to send it back. Sending it back is, while it may not be a financial cost, the time delay certainly is. And I think that this applicant deserves to be able to get an answer tonight. So, Mr. Stam.
Sir.
We have, in the city of Pembroke Pines, I don't look at commercial property by district, I look at it from an entire city. We have 120 square feet. That's our maximum. So the applicant originally asked for 3 signs. Does that mean that that's 3 signs divided by 120 makes it 40 square feet? Is that acceptable to the applicant?
Sir, I can't speak for the applicant. I do know the reason that they asked for the additional square footage is so that they did not have to replace the sign on the north and the southern facades, so that the 3rd sign would be the same size as those 3 signs. The applicant had the opportunity to apply for only 1 variance if they wanted to reduce the square footage, you know, to make 3 equal signs, or to make that 3rd sign a smaller sign. So that opportunity was there. I can't speak for them on how they would determine, how they would react to that particular proposal should it come before you.
And Mr. Stem, just to the east, because we do have uniform sign code as well.
Correct. Every shopping center has a uniform sign plan.
So the neighbor next door, what's the size of their signs?
So the way the uniform sign code works is signage is a function of the linear frontage of the store. Obviously, Verizon store being on a corner is allotted slightly different provisions than maybe an inline tenant. I can't speak to that exact tenant in terms of square footage. It is less square footage than what is on this tenant.
But they can't exceed 120 square feet.
It's probably less than that due to the width.
Okay, so.
So if I could, just so it's clear,
Yeah.
this applicant can utilize the linear frontage of all 3 sides, whereas the other tenant is limited.
I understand. So I have a question for the applicant, because staff can't answer that, rightly so. Sir, thank you for coming to the city of Pembroke Pines. We're actually good people here. So you say confusion, I see process. Is it because that the additional square footage was asked for second? Was that the issue? Meaning, are you looking for 40 square feet? Are you looking for 50, what was it, 56 or?
Each sign is 53.3.
53.13.
53.9.
Okay. So is Verizon going to go out of business if they don't get 53 and a third?
Well, no.
Okay. Are there?
But we do
Thank you.
have rules where we want all of our signs to be exactly the same, if you can see it from a different point of view.
I understand. So generally speaking, we have a lot of national brands. This is clearly a national brand. You have different scale based upon different communities, right? Is there a 40 square foot version in Verizon's Rolodex that would generally roll out if this was not in Pembroke Pines?
Point of order, Mayor. Point of order, Commissioner Castillo.
Ms. City Attorney, are we straying into new evidence with these questions?
Sir, if I can respond to the Commissioner?
City Attorney?
We're approaching that discussion point. I think that the Commission has some flexibility and some discretion, but I was clear in reading the code on the record to confine to the conversation.
My understanding was that our purview is to determine whether the decision at P&Z was made subject to competent and substantial evidence. Is that correct?
That's in the code.
That's basically our entire purview, correct?
And you, if I may respond, Mayor, to the extent, Commissioner, that you can apply that to the facts of the case as they appear before you, correct?
I think we're straying from our purview. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Commissioner, Vice Mayor, you done?
Yeah, so the commission has flexibility of granting a variance. We also have the flexibility of changing the number of square footage, meaning that we have the flexibility tonight to grant the appeal with less square footage.
Point of order, Mayor. Point of order, Commissioner Castillo.
City Attorney, do you concur with that legal opinion?
Let me respond, Mayor. To the extent that the commission has the ability to approve the applicant's appeal, within that appeal, you could not exceed the request of the applicant that has requested, but you could be less than what was asked for and still be consistent with the code.
Vice Mayor, you're
And are we still on track with that, given the approach of the Vice Mayor?
If I may, Mayor. Commissioner, there's not been a motion yet made, but I think that to the extent, again, that the code section speaks for itself in the context of your parameters, you're still in the parameters, but you need to be careful in the context of how far you go, and I know that the Vice Mayor needs to be cautioned to that extent.
Vice Mayor, you done?
Yeah, it's not my intent to exceed any legal, but I like to put this to bed, Mayor. So I'm asking the applicant. We do have the option. We can send it back, and the result could be the same, and then you're back here again. We can approve the appeal, or we can approve the appeal with less square footage. That's what's
Point of order, Mayor? Go ahead.
Or we could send it back and the outcome would be different.
Okay.
Now we've covered all the
We got all of that.
possibilities.
All right, Vice Mayor, you done?
So, I'm looking for an answer from the applicant.
You know, ideally,
I sense some hesitancy to send it back.
we'll go through whatever, steps we need to do, of course,
Right.
We would certainly go back if that were the option, or we would, ideally, we would be able to proceed with 3 wall signs
What you
at
asked
full, at 53 square feet each, which, because we do have, during the planning and zoning meeting, we went over some of the parameters that Verizon uses. We have right size signage, so we don't maximize our signs. So the additional square footage that was offered to us wouldn't help us, because we haven't even met the current allotment of square footage that we could use. So ideally, we want to have 3 signs, all the same size, all at 53. However, 3 signs at 40 square feet is
All right,
better
we
than
have
2
it.
signs that are large.
All right, Vice Mayor?
Okay, so the applicant agrees with the position that you can divide 120 by 3, and we can put this to bed tonight. That's what I just heard you say.
Mr. Stam, is that correct?
That's a better scenario than what we're currently in,
Okay. That would be my motion, Mayor.
Mr. Stam, not motion yet, we're still probably speaking. Mr. Stam, you heard all of that?
Mr. Mayor, you're still in discussion on the appeal.
Correct.
Again, I'll defer to the city attorney in terms of procedure. The applicant has stated that they do have a sign that's approximately within that brand standard of approximately 40 square feet per sign, and 3 signs equal, gets us closer to 120.
In your opinion?
Sir, I have no opinion on variance. I only have the evidence that was presented to us.
Good answer.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Seipel?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I watched a little bit of it. I wasn't able to watch the whole thing. I have some questions about the statements that were made that there was some confusion, because I wasn't seeing what I saw. I wasn't seeing confusion, and now when I'm reading through the backup, the motions that we have here and what happened, I see that in my mind, perhaps the items were taken in the wrong order. Okay, but that's not what happened, so let's talk about what happened. What happened was the 03, which was to allow the extra 100, to get to 162 square feet of total wall signage. And so that motion, that motion passed when it was originally made. That passed for the 162 square feet. And then the 04 variance request came up, which was to ask for the 3 wall signs. At first it died for lack of a second, right? And then a member moved to deny the variance, 04 again, and that was seconded. And I believe actually that was voted on 2 times, was it not?
I don't recall the second vote. There was a 3-2 vote.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a second vote, it was just to clarify what the motion was.
Okay,
Because sometimes, you are making a motion to deny, just, but like reiterating it for the board's purpose.
the no means no, or
Yeah,
the
yeah,
double no kind of
exactly.
thing, yeah. And, well, that's kind of not what it says here, but, because it clearly says that there were two votes, that there were two votes on the 04, both of which, were for denial. I guess, I go back to the non-self-inflicted hardship, which is really a big criteria that we try to, we do try to look at that a lot. I'm having some difficulty
Commissioner
with.
Seifel, before you say,
I know it's the other.
It's
it's the other board. I know that.
well, no, that language is now stricken. So if you look in the minutes on page 8,
Mm-hmm.
on the bottom of page 8 in the minutes,
Mm-hmm.
there's 3 provisions that the board can consider when looking
Right.
at a variance.
Right.
So it's either A, B, or C
Right.
when you grant those variances. So that hardship language we took out,
It's still in there. It's a little bit, yeah,
it's,
a little
but
different.
it
Right.
gives the board a little bit more purview, a wider purview.
Discretion.
Discretion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So I guess my real issue is, and I pushed many years ago for us to allow, national logos to be part of, because that was a huge thing. When you see the big KFC, it's KFC without reading anything else, when it's, whatever. And I think that was always very important for our business community to be able to have that, and we did allow that to be part of it. I think my problem here is that too much is being asked for, in that yes, while you have 3 sides of a building, you really have 3 sides of a building, and I know you ran off some numbers of traffic, and that's pretty important. I know you referred to get eyeballs on the sign or something like that, and that's important. I part of me says, go for it, go for it. Help this business be a good, successful business. I just wish that we were able to give you what you want, but yet still stay within our regulations. So I'm kind of intrigued to know a little bit more about the possibility of allowing three signs, the north, south, and then facing west side. But the other 2 signs are up, and you're not going to move those, you're not going to change those. But this third sign that you're looking for, that would be facing the west side, to get more into the total, be more compliant with the total square footage. So I'm really very intrigued about that.
During the
As
hearing-
I understand, that is, City Attorney, that is an option that is not going above and beyond what we are allowed to do.
May I respond, Mayor?
Sure.
Short answer is yes. I mean, there's a ceiling, and then there's the below the ceiling. And
We're less, not more.
Yes, correct.
not
You
more.
cannot go more.
Commissioner, during the hearing, the applicant, and he just referenced it again, the Verizon has a brand standard. Again, I'm not going to speak to the specifics of the brand standard, but the Z will always be the same size from sign to sign to side. They just change in square footage, right? So if it's a 2-foot tall Z, it equals X square feet of signage. The check will be the same proportional size. So I think what the gentleman alluded to that is that there is a brand standard. So the standard that's on the wall now is 53 plus or minus square feet, just under 54. They do have a brand standard, correct me if I'm wrong, that is around just under 40 square feet, which would get them underneath the 120 square feet that's allowed by code for signage for a total. So their brand standards do allow some of that. Again, they were trying to take a different approach during the hearing.
Right. I kind of remember that. I just, again, and like I said, I did listen to some of it. Was not able to listen to the whole thing. I'm not kind of buying into the confusion part of it, because I didn't really see confusion. I didn't see confusion part of it, but if that was it, I am still am very intrigued about being able to offer up something that works for all of us, and works maybe tonight for all of us,
All right.
to go forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Stanton, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Was it confusion because the board was presented out of order, and they presented 2 items other than one? Is that correct?
I don't I'm hesitant to use the word confusion. I think there's,
Well, you did.
well, no, I said it was an order of operations. I think that they were looking at the item in totality, but they
So I
have
guess
to,
let
they have to take separate
me
motions.
restate my question. If it was done the other way, would it have been all right?
I don't want to speculate what the board would have done. Again, and Commissioner Seifel, let me correct the record here. If you look, Member LeBate actually tried to remove her motion. That's what the second motion was. And again, I think that was due to the fact of the denial. Whenever the city attorney always tries to tell us we have to take action. We can't leave it floating out there.
But the motion was remade again.
And it was the same motion was remade with the same vote.
Same
So,
vote, exactly.
yeah, and again, it was just to clarify that
That's why I said it
the
was.
proper vote, yeah, and that, yeah. So I don't want to speculate as how the board would have, if the board would have changed it. You know, there's arguments to be made on both sides of this. The applicant is allowed to ask for what they want to ask for.
Well, it's up to us to make a decision.
Mayor,
That's why everybody's here. Commissioner Castillo.
I'd like to move to conclude that competent and substantial evidence standard was not reached in this matter, and that the appellant should be free to return to the Planning and Zoning Board at no cost to him to represent his case.
Is there a second? Is there a
So
second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Good.
Yeah, I still
Okay,
have.
further discussion.
Yes, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
I'd like to offer a substitute motion to grant the appeal with 3 equal signs of 40 square feet.
All right, is there a second to the substitute motion?
Yes, I'll second that.
All right, there's a second to the substitute motion. That's in front of us. Further discussion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So I just have a question. So
Go ahead.
if the vice mayor's motion is essentially accepting the 3 signs, 40 square feet each, meaning it's 120. And if that's done, is there really a variance before us?
There is a variance for a third sign.
But I thought earlier you said that corner.
They are allowed 2.
They're only allowed 2.
They're only allowed 2, correct. So the variance, their appeal is actually for the third sign.
Mm-hmm. And when you, you know, and you know, there's a lot of comments about confusion, which I'm really actually not focused on that. I'm actually focused on the statement about, I thought you said that they were looking just to get a pass on this and just pass this on. Did I not hear that correctly?
I don't recall saying that. What I'm saying is that when they make them, they try to, maybe the only thing I was saying is along the lines of, they have to take action. That we try not to leave the item in purgatory. They have to take some sort of action on the application, whether it's a motion to pass or approve or a motion to deny. They can't leave the item out there hanging. I think that's where I was going with that, no, not just to pass it on.
Okay. And this solution was not before them, or was it discussed to have 3 signs at a max of 40 square foot per sign?
This specific solution was not before them.
We are far afield.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
we have the Vice Mayor's motion in front of us.
You do, and for the record, if that motion is clear, the issue is to provide for 3 signs, but it's dividing the square footage equally among the 3,
Mr. Sam?
which would not exceed the allowance in the code.
The 120, correct.
Further discussion on the motion. City Clerk, call a motion, please. Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel,
Yes.
Commissioner Good,
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo,
No.
Mayor Ordus,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you.
The record,
Thank
Mayor
you
and
all.
Commission, the appellant's request to the commission has been granted, subject to the passage of the motion on a 4-to-1 vote as described on the record.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you for your time and understanding, and appreciate all your comments.
Good luck with it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Items at the request of the public, City Clerk.
No items, Mayor.
I have our consent agenda, items 2 through 19. What is your pleasure?
Mayor,
5, Mayor.
5 by Commissioner Seifel, hold on. Okay, any others?
yes, Mr. Mayor, item 4.
4 by Commissioner Good. Anything else? All right, hearing none, let me have a vote for items 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19.
Mr. Mayor,
Moved by by Vice Mayor, is there a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just pardon the interruption if I can, but there has been a supplement to the record produced by the Police Department on item number 13, which has been delivered to the Mayor and Commission. It is subsequent to the 48-hour rule. However, the cover email and documentation that supports the request of the minimal modification of the agreement would meet the requirements of having been submitted timely in the context of its delivery to the Commission. It's been able to be posted, but it's been supported by the Police Department and staff. So for item 13, what is actually in the Green Book is not exactly what's in the Green Book. It is an item which has been clarified and supported by the...
we've been given a correction.
But I need the record to reflect that should anyone raise the issue, it's been clarified by this information. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. So all those in favor say aye. Oh, no, take the roll, please, sorry. What's that?
The motion, please.
No, this is on the consent agenda. I think Commissioner Seifel, would you move on the consent agenda, approve the items?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think, yes.
Yeah, go ahead, that's right. We'll get on record.
I did.
Go ahead.
Vice Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Good?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Commissioner Good, item 4, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 4, motion to approve the agreement between the City of Pembroke Pines and Ford & Associates Incorporated to provide municipal advisory services to the city for an initial period of 5 years with an additional 5-year renewal period.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, you know, I am going to stay consistent with what my belief is in regards to some of these legacy contracts. This contract's been in existence in 2013. You know, it expired, we renewed, and now we're doing a renewal for a 5-year with another 5-year renewal on top of that. So that would make this now a 20-year contract without having any competitive bid for it. I understand that, you know, that the city may have done a good job at maybe what they believe is a good price. However, I cannot make that determination of whether the rates they're giving us is good because it's not compared to any other vendor. And so in the absence of the competitive bid process, I can't support this. I do rather see these kind of contracts go out to bid every now and then so we can make certain that we are being consistent with our charge to provide the best service at the lowest possible rates.
All right, any further discussion?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stay consistent with my policy sense, which is that when a vendor does a good job in every way, shape, and form, and this is a vendor that's taken us through a recession and provided us with all manner of other advice on difficult issues, and whose advice to us involves many millions of dollars. It's more than just the procurement. It's a trust question, and I have trust in this company, trust that they have earned over demonstrated years of performance. And if they're good enough for the finance department and for the city manager to make this recommendation, I'm going to support them.
Okay, thank you. Let me just say, I really appreciate the Ford and Associates. We've been through some tough times in the city. We had to put a GO bond out and all of those items. They were here for us, directing us. When the bonds dropped, the city came out all right. So I'm going to support somebody that guides our city and gives us the right information. So I'm going to support the motion. Anybody else? Call a roll, please.
Commissioner Good?
No.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, item number 5, City Commissioner Seifel.
Commissioner Seifel.
Seifel.
Yeah, you too.
Motion to ratify city manager's approval of the agreement between the Children's Services Council and the City of Pembroke Pines for a maximizing out-of-school time, MOST, grant for the special needs summer camp for 2022 in the amount of $116,995.
Second by Commissioner Castillo. Go ahead, Commissioner Cyple.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that this is such a great program that we have going, and these kids benefit so much by being able to go there and participate there. My granddaughter Marissa actually started when she was in high school volunteering there during the summer, and she has now gone on and gotten her degree, and she does now works and provides services for special needs children, loves what she's doing, and this is just such a great program for a lot of reasons. It gives those children that need that help, that are they're called, differently abled is really the right word for them, differently abled, and they get that out of that. But it also is like for my granddaughter, gave away for a career that she loves. So I think, it's one of those that works on both sides, kind of a deal, and I'm very proud that we have that here in the city. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Cyple?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Good?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, now we're on these are consent quasi-judicial. Items 20, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Number 20 for the record is a motion to pass proposed ordinance number 2022-07 on first reading. Proposed ordinance number 2022-07 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, amending Chapter 97 of the city's Code of Ordinances entitled Parks and Recreation by specifically creating Section 97.29 entitled, quote, "Smoking Prohibited in Parks," end of quote, providing for severability, providing for conflict, providing for codification, and finally providing for an effective date. This is item number 20 on the floor for consideration. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cyple. Is there a second? Second by the Vice Mayor. Is there discussion?
Yes, Mayor?
Go ahead, Commissioner Cyple.
I know that we're looking at, for our own city here, but I just want to bring to everyone's attention that this is an item that's been statewide. The Florida League of Cities, in fact, the committee that I sit on, actually this was one of the topics that was brought up, and we've had a number of, for the past several years, this has been one of our top items from our committee to legislate about, and it finally looks like things are going in the right direction. So I'm very proud of all the work that has been done by the folks at the Florida League and by all of our colleagues that sit there at the Florida League throughout the state that pushed very hard for the sensibleness of this item. So thank you, Mayor.
Good point. Further discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you. Sam?
Yes, sir.
I know that cigars at golf courses are not part of this. I read the statute,
Yes,
and
sir.
they are exempted. Is vaping included in this?
The answer is there's no reference to it, that vaping is handled by a different provision of state law. It's not in this specific issue.
So when we pass this ordinance, vaping will still be allowed in city parks?
Technically speaking, because
Thanks.
there's nothing in the code that in the state statute that prohibits it.
Okay.
Remember that, if I may quickly, Mayor, to the Commissioner, and as you and I discussed, Commissioner, that this item has been agonizingly through the legislature for a number of years. The principal goal is to pursue cigarette smokers. And then I guess there's a tobacco lobby in Tallahassee for cigar lobby, and they were able to get the exemption for unfiltered cigars. So, but vaping is, we believe that's a separately regulated behavior. Not
Well,
specific-
maybe they'll get around to that.
Correct.
All right, further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Cyple?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And for the record, Mayor and Commission, this will be considered and final hearing in these chambers on August the 3rd after advertising.
All right, item 21, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Number 21 is a motion to adopt proposed resolution number 2022-R06, which is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, approving and authorizing the execution of the amended First Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Broward County for solid waste disposal and support services attached here to Exhibit A, authorizing the city manager to take all action necessary to effectuate the intent of the amended First Amendment, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and finally providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Thank you. Item 21 on the floor.
I heard Commissioner Seifel motion, second by, Commissioner Castillo. Discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo.
Thank you. So I'm going to vote in favor of this because both the city attorney and the city manager and Mr. Cerullo, in whose advice I am constantly assured, tells me that all this does is allow our bulk, basically the vegetation provider, to take his load to a Davie location. Is that correct?
Mike Cirillo, City Attorney's Office, that's correct. It does allow.
That's all it does.
For
It doesn't
bulk
do
and
anything
yard.
else.
That's it.
Because this commissioner is not prepared to do anything else until the parties that have, to date, not shown up for a workshop so that the people's questions can be asked by this dais, show up. So I'll vote in favor of this, but that's about it.
All right. Further discussion?
Yes, Mayor?
Go ahead, Commissioner Seifel.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Cirillo.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry, we missed a little bit today.
That's okay.
I understood what this was about. The only thing I'm asking about is the time frame of this and the requirement on the notification to make the change. Can you explain that a little bit more, what that is called for?
What, to notify the county that we're doing this? They know when we pass it. We've had communications with them that we're going to be doing this, and they believe that it can be done on their end administratively. So once we approve it here and the county administrator signs it, we will be in business to do the other location.
And with waste management, there also has to be, isn't there something in our contracts that say there's the 30-day notice requirement given? What is that?
Well,
I read that somewhere in here.
Are you talking maybe the notice that EWS provides for the change? I can go pull it. I don't have the agenda item in front of me, but I'm not aware that we have to give waste management any type of notice. But let me go pull the agreement and take a look at that.
I thought I read that somewhere that there needed to be some notice.
Before we got the approval from the county, we did have to go through and get, the county wanted us to get something from waste management.
Right,
Or
maybe
Wheeler
that's where I
Graders. They
read
would
it,
not
but it said
object.
that we
Right.
would, if we were gonna approve this and get approval to do this, that we were to give them a 30-day notice, but is that a requirement?
I know.
No, there really is no requirement in there.
Yeah.
This just gives them the flexibility to choose the site closest to where they're collecting it.
Okay, so if this gets approved tonight, theoretically, it could start tomorrow?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as long as,
Well, as
and
long
we
as
expect the
we
county will
have to
sign.
provide it to the county and
I
they
mean,
accept it.
I'm
yes.
sorry, say that again?
We have to provide this document to the county and they have to accept it. They have told us they will, but
Oh, okay, so there's nothing then, I keep thinking that I read something that we had to notify
There was,
a 30-day,
I don't know if this is what you're thinking of, but remember, we had come to the commission a couple times before about the Second Amendment and what we're going to be doing after June of next year. There was a deadline to provide the county some information under that agreement, and that was for the Second Amendment, which is not, this is only to amend the First Amendment, where we're saying we're gonna not take our bulk and we're not gonna take our yard to the Broward County system during the current term, which goes through next June, I believe, 2023.
okay.
So they might have been thinking of the Second Amendment we had brought to you a couple
Okay.
times.
But as
which
it
did
is
have
right
to-
now, theoretically, county, Mr. Dodges has to approve it, it could start tomorrow.
As soon as the county.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Good?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think, thank you, Attorney Cirillo. But you did read a 30-day notice period, and it's a notice period to the county, letting them know that we are going to change location. So you did read that, because that's what it's in there.
Maybe
But I think what's happened here is that this discussion has been done well in advance of that they've seemed to have got their sort of 30-day notice already because of the conversations and negotiations they've been doing. But you're absolutely correct, it is the 30-day in there.
All right. City Clerk, call a roll, please.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Commissioner Good?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The recommended Commission, the permanent number is 3795 for item number 21.
All right, Reporter League tomorrow has a luncheon.
Yeah.
Manager? City Attorney?
Yes, Mayor and Commission, just two very quick items if I can. It is the time for the Commission to appoint members to the Charter Review Board. The City Clerk will be proposing the appropriate advertisement to do so under the provisions of the ordinance, which I will cite to you momentarily, is ordinance number 1721. The mayor has 3 appointments and commissioners have 2 each. And the time to appoint the Charter Board would be this year under the Charter Amendment that was adopted back in the year, forgive me, 2012. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that the clerk will be advertising for that position if you have an interest in pursuing the matter. But the record needs to reflect the fact that she'll be doing this because the law requires it.
Question, when does the Charter Board convene?
As soon as you have membership in place.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else, City Attorney?
Yes, I do. But the Vice Mayor has a question for me, Mr. Mayor.
So, based on what you just said, it's based on quorum. Not, I mean, if we're gonna have advertising, I think we need to, come to a friendly agreement that we should have all of our appointments in place by a certain time.
That was sort of my question.
Maybe like, first meeting of, September would be a goal, because what I wouldn't want to see, is that we have a quorum, but we don't have districts being represented. That's not the intent.
I think that's doable.
And Mayor?
Yes.
And Mayor, if I may, for someone to submit their name to want to do this, they have to also have a little bit of time to think about the commitment that is called for on this, because it is a number of meetings. It's a big commitment, very important. But I think we need to make sure that folks that want to put their name in understand fully what they're jumping into. So.
All right.
And Mayor and Commission, you have the ability legally to, with your own discretion, to fashion how you would like to implement the board's destination. The code does not direct you otherwise.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, one more item if I can, Mayor.
Go ahead.
And that is that we advised you, I did, the City Attorney's Office did by email, that the gun management case is before the Florida Supreme Court next week on July the 9th. It's a 9 o'clock calendar call by the Supreme Court. I gave you the login to that information. It is available by Zoom. We are in that case. The City of Pembroke Pines is a prominent petitioner, appellant in the matter, along with the other 3 cities that joined initially, which was Coral Springs, Coconut Creek, and Wilton Manors, and Pembroke Pines are in that mix. Mayors Against Gun Violence, et cetera, and the case has been fully briefed, and to the extent that you choose to log in, members of the public are allowed to do so with the login information which I provided earlier. And other than that, the City of Pembroke Pines is still waiting for Judge Frink to let us know when our case with the City of Hollywood will be tried. We're now we're in the first week of the 3-week trial docket, the next of which begins on Monday the 6th. We'll know by Friday if we're in the second tier, or we'll know by the following Friday if we're in the last tier of the docket. We'll brief you privately as needed. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, your item, I heard a little bit with the property appraiser. Could you delay this? So there was a lot of discussion, and I don't see how I could vote for this tonight.
If Mayor, if you just allow me to make the presentation, and I'll make it kind of a really easy package. And my motion is going to just direct the city attorney to collect all necessary data and bring it back when it's timely. Okay,
Good.
so let me read.
Well, you don't have to do that if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
We'll do it all when we get back.
Well, allow me to read the item, Mayor. Vice Mayor will discuss the status of significantly escalating residential rents in the city of Pembroke Pines and Broward County, and in South Florida as they affect the lives and livelihoods of the citizens and residents of the city with a municipal and public purpose intent to potentially creating city legislation pertaining to this subject and matter. Discussion possible action to direct the city attorney's office to conduct a certain legal research regarding A, the Florida Residential Landlord Tenant Act, founded in Part 2 of Chapter 83, Florida Statute B, the pending Broward County ordinance yet to be heard for second reading pertaining to residential tenacies, requiring a written notification period related to the termination of certain residential tenancies and rent increases, and providing for county-wide enforcement, and C, Section 166.043 Florida statute pertaining to local government's technical ability to impose rent controls under very strict and limited situations and conditions. Over the last several weeks and months, I'm sure I'm not alone receiving emails and phone calls from residents and business persons alike who are deeply concerned about the ability to provide a living for themselves, whether it's the landlord or if it's a tenant. There has been, as I mentioned when Marty was here, the state of Florida, under Florida statute, doesn't allow us to do, they don't allow us to do anything. The county is finding that out now, hence the reason I believe that their second reading has been delayed. We also have this new Florida statute that says anyone can sue local government for any reason with the inaction of any type of ordinance. So, the reason why I'm bringing this forward is to educate the public that the commission does care, but we're limited, just like...
Better off when he brings it back that we take it in totality, this way there'll be no confusion.
Sure. So in general, we have approximately 8,000 rental units in the city.
We heard that from the property appraiser.
I'm glad you. I'm glad. So, if I could get your consensus to allow the city attorney to do his work.
Without objection,
Mayor?
go ahead, Commissioner Castillo.
Yeah, I support, my sense is we're just going to be sending this to the city attorney for some research, and we're not going to have a substantive discussion until that research comes back. Is that basically it?
I think that's what it is, yep.
Okay. I can support that. However, I received an email that I forwarded to the clerk from the real estate board that they want read into the record. So I'm prepared to vote in favor of the vice mayor's motion for research, and we can have a substantive discussion about it afterwards. But I'd like the clerk to read the real estate board's email into the record. They asked that be done. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just intervene briefly. We no longer are in a hybrid or in a pandemic type situation where we have a virtual gallery. People want to speak, they can certainly come to the podium. And I say that only to the extent that we are live and in person. If the mayor, however, would permit and the commission does not object, the clerk can read the email.
Okay. All right, so then we'll have consensus to bring it back?
Can we have the email read?
But he says we can't.
No, absent objection.
He said we
mayor.
can. Otherwise, I'll read it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's not all talk at once, because that's how we get confused. City Attorney.
Yes, Mayor.
I thought I just heard you say that somebody has to come before us in person to read. What are we doing?
The answer is that the commissioner has asked that the item be read into the record. He's made that request. Absent objection from the mayor or the body, the item can be read by the clerk.
Okay, that's all we have to do. Clerk, read the item.
An email from Mr. Nate Parsons to Commissioner Castillo. Good afternoon, Commissioner Castillo. On behalf of our almost 40,000 Realtor members serving South Florida, I would like to recommend that the Commission exercise caution and favor postponement with regard to discussions regarding rent control or any rent suppression measures as indicated by Honorable Vice Mayor Schwartz's agenda item on tonight's Commission agenda. The basis of this recommendation is as follows. Rent control is preempted in the state of Florida and necessitates that significant requirements be met before such measures can even be considered by the citizens in a local ballot measure. Policies such as rent control and rent suppression actually serve to harm the rental community by further reducing the supply of rental properties and willing landlords who instead could just sell said property. Numerous economic studies exist referencing how these policies have unforeseen consequences and negative impacts, which I would be happy to share. Broward County has yet to pass the proposed Tenants' Bill of Rights, which we are currently working on with the County Attorney's Office. Extreme increases in property insurance rates and housing demands that far outweigh the current supply are the true culprits of the rental crisis, not landlords or rental increases. Our efforts should be focused on providing resources, grants, and support to renters, along with working to incentivize builders to increase the available rental supply. Legislative action on insurance rates and building transparency was just passed last week in the legislature's special session. These measures should be given adequate time to be implemented and their relief on the market assessed. Ultimately, I humbly ask the Commission to reconsider any conversations or directions to staff regarding this matter until Broward County has progressed with the Tenants' Bill of Rights, and our association has been invited to join said discussions.
Yeah, and
We
that's
pride
why,
ourselves.
and that's why I said that we ought to do that. And, you know, my wife is a realtor, and she's got some opinion. So we ought to get all the opinions together, and then we can make an educated decision.
Yes, so Mayor, if I may.
Can we have the rest of the letter read, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Was that, you got more to it?
We pride ourselves in being engaged community partners and working with municipal government to find the best solutions to the issues that afflict our community. We would like to be granted the opportunity to further discuss why rent control is not a policy the Commission should be considering at this time, and we respectfully request that our request for postponement of this item be strongly considered. Thank you. Regards, Nate Parsons.
So, I was asked to make sure that letter got read. I have my own views on the matter, and I'll hold on to them until the legal research comes back.
Okay.
Those are the views of the Real Estate Board.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so Mayor, if I may, and by all means, maybe there's some magical elixir as to why one commissioner gets an email, but not all of us.
Doesn't,
You'll have to
Vice
ask
Mayor,
them.
Vice Mayor, on the subject.
The item as read is clear. I've already referenced
Fine.
Florida statute. So the first half is, we're in agreement. With respect to the latest property insurance bill that was passed, as I was a part of the My Safe Florida Home initial pilot program before it actually became official. I've seen it. The way that this bill was passed, it's not going to have the, in my assessment, it's not going to have a long-term impact because it's requiring people to spend additional money.
Point of order, Mayor? Yeah, Vice Mayor, we were like on a consensus that we read that letter, that we were gonna let the manager put all technicalities back and bring it back to us so we could all be educated. You're gonna just keep reading your item off, and I think we have the consensus to send it to the manager.
Send it to the city attorney.
What's that?
Send it to the city attorney's office, not
Yeah.
the manager.
Okay. All right, that's what we're gonna do. Thank you so much. Commissioner Seipel.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Item 1, discussion and possible action to direct city administration to work on guidelines and an ordinance to bring back to commission for consideration to establish a Pembroke Pines Youth Council made up of local Pembroke Pines High School students that will rotate on an annual basis in line with the school year, with the goal of having our youth learn about leadership and government, engage in the business of our city, and provide input and recommendations to the City Commission with oversight and guidance from city administration.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, I know that, thank you, Mayor. I know that this item was brought up a few years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but a few years ago.
I brought it up.
And I think it, in all truthfulness, I think it got shot down because, or it didn't go any further because I think we were all concerned, I guess, if you will, that these young adults that we would have in this group would not be able to determine and live by the Sunshine Law. And I think that turned out to be that was really wrong. So I have given to the city clerk, I've done quite a bit of research on this, and I've given to the city clerk, and I've asked her to share it with all of you. Just for example, there are all over the state now going, it actually started, and I want to read this because I think this is important. In August of 2008, Wellington Vice Mayor Carmine Priori, remember him, Mayor?
Yes.
Was sworn in as president of the Florida League of Cities. In his first speech as president, he spoke about how students are receiving little or no civic education instruction in the classroom and cited surveys and studies showing that a large percentage of high school students know little about their governments. He made it his presidential priority to promote civic education and encourage cities to create youth councils to educate this younger generation. While many of Florida cities already have youth councils, we wanted to create a document that would serve as a roadmap for others wanting to start similar programs. And it goes on about, North Carolina Civic Education Consortium really developed a template, and a lot of folks have used it. As I was researching through this, a lot of questions that were brought up from before are really kind of answered in here, and it is working very well in a number of cities locally. I had no trouble at all finding all kinds of information, application forms, mission statements, how they meet, how they are liaison, how does that work for them? What are they tasked with doing? What are the requirements? GPA, 8th to 12th grade, ages. Just a lot of information, again, that I've given to City Clerk, and I've asked her to share with you. Lauderhill has a youth council. Dania Beach has a youth council. Tamarack has a youth council. Lauderdale Lakes has it. Miramar has it. Miramar is a little bit different. Theirs is pretty big. They actually even offer, and I think the requirement is that you are a member of this youth council for 2 years. You're in good standing. Your grades are at a certain point. Everything is meeting the criteria. And you can get up to a $1,000 scholarship to go towards your college. So there's some incentive for these kids to want to get into here. So I share this with you, and I think that it is something that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's here, and we can certainly offer it. We can certainly do it, and I think that we should. I think anytime that here Lauderdale Lakes has, very, very active. City of Lauderdale Lakes, Tamarack. So in this packet are applications, different applications, different criteria on how often they meet, how they meet, what they do. And so City Clerk will, at my request, share this with you all, and please look at it. But Mayor, I would like to move this item forward and come back then with how we actually want to have it put together. How do we want to coordinate it? How do we want to do it? But
Is there a second?
the concept of it, I'd like to go forward with.
Second by Commissioner Good. Discussion.
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo.
Okay, so this came up about 10 years ago. Marilyn Sultanapour and the folks at the Education Advisory Board came forward with the suggestion, and we all thought it was a great idea. Why in the world would any city commission not think it's a great idea to have kids take a look at government and give us ideas and recommendations? The city attorney said because the Sunshine Law applies to them. And unlike adults who the meeting section of the Sunshine Law might apply to, they're in lunchrooms and in close contact all the time. And some portion of them can be petty. Dare I say, some portion of adults can be petty. And these are the kinds of appointments that look great on college applications, and potentially scholarship money comes with it, and all kinds of feelings can well up under a situation like that. And an innocent comment made between kids can be misunderstood, and you have a state attorney complaint. So what I said was, let's come up with a way, and in fact, an ordinance had been written. An ordinance has been sitting there and not acted on for the better part of 10 years. City attorney has it. But we abandoned the issue because no one could think or agree on how else to do this. And one of the ways to do it is to leave it in the schools. And another way to do it is to let them come in and take a look at government and give their recommendations to the manager. Let this be the manager's program. But if we're gonna love it so much that they have to appear before us and we have to have a role potentially in selecting them, or maybe not, but if they come here, and we create the ordinance under it, any of the things that trigger sunshine, you lost me, because I don't wanna place our kids in that scenario. If there's a smart way to get this thing done, I'm on board 100%. But if it opens the door to a criminal complaint being filed against the kid, you lost me. That's it.
Mayor, if I may.
So if there's a way to do it, let me know. I'm all for it.
Mayor, if I may.
Let me just say that many cities that you heard have them, and many cities take them on trips to the National League of Cities. Okay. And all this. I have not heard one sunshine violation in any of the cities that we mentioned. Show me. So.
Well, Mayor, if I may, like I said when I first spoke, and Commissioner, you were the one who was totally against it because of that reason.
I wasn't totally against it.
You were totally against it. Obviously,
Commissioner Seifel, you have the floor.
obviously, that is not a problem. That is not.
Commissioner
Please.
Castillo. Commissioner Seifel.
Are you serious?
Commissioner Seifel.
Oh, my God. Raising positive children again.
Commissioner Seifel.
Yes, Mayor.
Finish your comment.
My comment is, we are raising very
Good.
fabulous children in this
All right,
city.
City Clerk,
Wonderful.
call
So
the roll,
Mayor,
please.
Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor. I just have to again say, I'm not asking to reinvent the wheel. This has been done since 2008, all through the state. If in fact there were problems with it, then I think we would have certainly heard that.
We're through that.
Through the Florida League, which I checked with them again on their criteria and all that.
All right, we're through that.
And so I want to move forward with it.
All right.
I think we will put
Let's see what the commission
young
says.
people in there that are responsible enough to understand what the rules and regulations
Let's see what the
are.
commission says. City Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Seifel?
Yes.
Commissioner Good?
Yes.
Commissioner Castillo?
He left, I guess.
He left, he didn't want to vote? No, he had an opinion about it, should have voted.
City Clerk?
Vice Mayor Schwartz?
Yes.
Mayor Ordus?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for a great meeting. Let me just remind you that we have a graduation Friday night right here at City Center for our schools. And, I'm not gonna bring the subject up now, just to tell you, we've been informed by the county that the traffic light that we wanted on Seventh and Palm are.
Can you record me as yes? The bathroom light doesn't work.
And?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, so, like I was saying, the, what was that? Last part. All right, so, the graduation, and then we've been advised by the, transportation person from the county and Beam Fur that they denied our request for a traffic light. So I've given it to the city attorney. We're gonna go through it and see what else we can do.
All right,
All right?
Happy Father's Day.
Have a good night.
thank you.
Marlene, thank you very
Huh?
Motion to adjourn.